Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Here are the top stories we're tracking for you on Friday, the 14th of November. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi begins 5-day Australia visit. IS making inroads in Pakistan's southwest Balochistan, say activist. And it's a game of deception and love at box office this weekend. And now for all the details. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi reached Australian city Brisbane on Friday for a 5-day visit. He's in the country to attend the G20 summit and hold bilateral talks with Australian Prime Minister Tony Abbott.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi was welcomed by Queensland Premier Campbell Newman on Friday. He visited the prestigious Queensland University of Technology and took time off to interact with students and researchers there. He also met British Prime Minister David Cameron on the sidelines of the G20 summit. The Indian Premier later attended a dinner hosted by Japan Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. He will meet the G20 country heads on Saturday during the annual summit where India is participating as a guest. Prime Minister Modi is also scheduled to meet his Australian counterpart Tony Abbott. Much like his public address in New York during his recent US visit, Prime Minister Modi will speak to the gathering of Indian community in Australia. This is the first trip of an Indian Prime Minister to Australia in nearly 3 decades. The visit also comes close to Tony Abbott's New Delhi visit, where Australia agreed to sell uranium to India. He had also promised to increase the Australian investment in India, especially in the infrastructure. Modi is expected to call for boosting trade with Australia during his meeting with Prime Minister Abbott. The bilateral trade stood at $10.2 billion in 2013.
Afghanistan President Ashraf Ghani reached Pakistan for his first official visit on Friday. He is expected to hold high-level talks, including the revival of the peace dialogue with Afghan Taliban in Pakistan.
Afghan President Ashraf Ghani was given an official welcome in capital Islamabad by Prime Minister's advisor on foreign affairs Sartaj Aziz. A 100-member high-level delegation is accompanying President Ghani during his 2-day visit to Pakistan. He met Pakistan Army Chief General Raheel Sharif and is also scheduled to attend a dinner hosted by his counterpart Mamnoon Hussain. President Ghani will later meet Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif on Saturday. Pakistan Foreign Ministry said the bilateral talks will be focused around building better ties between the two neighbours.
During the visit, there would be in-depth consultations on all dimensions of Pakistan-Afghanistan relations, with a particular focus on bilateral political engagement, trade and economic cooperation, border security and counter-terrorism, energy and connectivity, reconstruction and rehabilitation, and people-to-people contacts.
Pakistan and Afghanistan, which share a 1,640-mile boundary, have had a troubled relationship for the past 13 years under former Afghan President Hamid Karzai. Both countries accuse each other of harboring militants within the other's territory who are behind terror attacks in both Pakistan and Afghanistan. Pakistan was also one of the only 3 countries to recognize the hardline Taliban regime that ruled Kabul from 1996 until 2001 before it was ousted by the NATO.
The International War Crimes Tribunal or ICT in Bangladesh has sentenced Zahid Hussain aka Khokon Razakar in absentia to death for his involvement in crimes against humanity. The fugitive is the third leader of former Prime Minister Begum Khaleda Zia's Bangladesh Nationalist Party to be handed down capital punishment by the ICT.
The ICT on Thursday pronounced death sentence to 72-year-old Hussain, who is believed to be living in Sweden. The special court found the convicted war criminal guilty in 10 charges including genocide, murder, rape, loot and forced religious conversion during the 1971 Liberation War. The prosecutors said they were happy with the judgment.
এবং ছন্দাহীনভাবে আমরা প্রমাণ করতে সক্ষম হয়েছি বিধায় মাননীয় ট্রাইব্যুনাল 6টি চার্জে তাকে মৃত্যুদণ্ড প্রদান করেছেন।
Hussain, who joined the BNP from Jamaat-e-Islami, fled the country in 2011 after the ICT began probing his role in war crimes during the 9 months of Bangladesh Liberation War. Wednesday's court ruling was also welcomed by Bangladeshi freedom fighters and civil society alike. Many urged the government to extradite Hussein from Sweden.
অবিলম্বে তাকে সুইডেন থেকে নিয়ে আসে তার গলায় মধ্যে ফাঁসি রশি রাখে এইভাবে ঝুলিয়ে বাংলাদেশ কলঙ্ক মুক্ত করা হোক
International observers also lauded the efforts of Bangladesh government towards bringing the perpetrators of the biggest crimes in the country's history to justice.
I think what Bangladesh is grappling with is hugely important. I mean, obviously terrible atrocities were committed during the War of Liberation in 1971, and for a long time the victims, their families, the general public, even the younger generation today in Bangladesh has been crying out for justice. So in many ways we were pleased when the government finally tackled this and began a domestic process to account for those crimes.
The Jamaat, a key ally of the BNP, is accused of fighting alongside the Pakistan Army in 1971 when Bangladesh, then known as East Pakistan, fought to secede from West Pakistan.
The Pakistan government has rejected reports about the presence of the Islamic State or IS within the country. Activists, however, claim the militant group is spreading its agenda in the troubled province of Balochistan.
Even as the government continues to deny the footprint of the extremist group in Pakistan, a delegation of the IS visited Balochistan this week to liaise with the militant outfits there, reports said. It comes days after Interior Minister Chaudhry Nisar Ali Khan denied the presence of IS in Pakistan. He, however, agreed of certain local groups being attracted towards the militia. Munir Mengil, president of Baloch Voice Foundation, said the IS is slowly gaining traction in Pakistan.
There is also a statement from the Pakistani government, Pakistani Foreign Affairs, that there is no sign of ISIL and other organizations inside Pakistan and particularly inside Balochistan. But we see how it is visible, and now the international community is also analyzing how it is visible to them and how it is threatening to them as well.
Spokesperson of the Jundullah, a faction of the Pakistan Taliban, confirmed that the IS delegation visited Balochistan to see how it could work to unite various local militant groups like the Lashkar-e-Jhangvi to operate in Pakistan. Balochistan administration had recently sent out a report to the federal government warning of the IS militants recruiting from the insurgency-hit province. Mengil confirmed of an increase in pro-IS posters across the southwestern province.
There is some threat that might happen inside Balochistan because we have seen the slogans, the wall chalkings deep inside the Balochistan of ISIL and other international terrorist organizations threatening the local and the minority religious people that they have to convert into either Islam or they are, giving such statements that they are going to extend the Islamic Khilafat over there inside Balochistan.
This is not the first time the IS posters and literature has surfaced in Pakistan. In September, the militia had distributed pamphlets and flags in Peshawar calling Pakistanis to join the caliphate of Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. The Human Rights Commission of Pakistan has expressed concern over the growing presence of extremists in the nation.
The Pakistan Cricket Board or PCB said it will approach the International Cricket Council to relax the ban on cricketer Mohammad Amir. He, along with former captain Salman Butt and pace bowler Mohammad Asif, were banned by the world body after being caught in spot fixing.
PCB chief Shahryar Khan on Thursday said the cricket board will seek a review of the 5-year ban imposed on Mohammad Amir. The PCB, however, clarified that it was making the plea only for Amir and not for the other two. This comes after the ICC recently revised its policy on banned players.
आमिर के लिए अब वो लॉ निकल आया है जिसके तहत हम लोग अप्लाई कर सकते हैं कि उसको रियायत दिखाई जाए और हम वो पेपर बना रहे हैं इस वक्त मेरे ख्याल से 3-4 दिन में वो पेपर तैयार हो जाएगा
Amir got into trouble after a British tabloid released videos of him along with Butt and Asif taking money to deliberately bowl no balls during Pakistan's England tour in 2010. The ICC tribunal handed Amir a 5-year ban in February 2011. Asif and Butt were also suspended from all forms of competitive cricket for 7 and 10 years each. Even if the PCB manages to get the ban lifted, Amir, who is now 22, will have to begin playing cricket at domestic level before he could make a comeback to the national side.
Akmal is also under investigation.
Religious chants and Hindu rituals might attract the eyes of tourists and devotees in India's holy city Varanasi, but there's more which is catching attention this season. Take a look at who is flocking the banks of River Ganges.
Winters are knocking on India's northern states, but they are also bringing along some new visitors. Residents of Varanasi are in for a treat to welcome hundreds of migratory birds. With the onset of winters in Russia, these birds have arrived here to spend the season in relatively warm climes. The birds are flocking the riverbanks, giving the local boatmen a chance to make good money from people who wish to have a closer view of the new guests. These Siberian visitors, travelling from as far as Europe and Central Asia, are luring both foreign and domestic tourists.
इन्हीं की वजह से काफ़ी टूरिस्ट जो फॉरेन टूरिस्ट हैं वो आते हैं और इंडियंस भी काफ़ी इनसे प्रशंसित होते हैं देख के काफ़ी अच्छा लगता है इन्हें.
Varanasi plays host to thousands of exotic birds every year who migrate to India to avoid harsh cold back home. Due to favorable weather conditions suited for their survival and breeding, these birds choose water bodies as their winter abode. The winged creatures keep arriving from beginning of November till December and return during the spring season.
Bollywood's tryst with guns and goons continues this weekend, but with a twist of love too. Take a look at how it combines both action and romance.
लोग मरने के बाद क्या तारा बन जाते हैं?
जिंदा लोगों का तो यही मानना है.
तो इनमें से हमने कितने बनाए?
They are bad, they are ruthless, and they are unapologetic too. And they have no qualms of fighting for love. The game of deception and romance goes to the next level this weekend with Kill Dil. The much-awaited film starring actors Ranveer Singh, Ali Zafar and Parineeti Chopra also marks the comeback for iconic actor Govinda. The film had a starry promotion in capital New Delhi as the entire cast left their fans asking for more with their jigs. They said Kill Dil was an amazing experience.
And I got to do a role which I'd wanted to do actually for a very long time, in action, in drama, in the intensity of the character. So I'd wanted to do something like this, which is happening in Kill Dil.
Our film is very, very humorous. It's full of light-hearted, just fun. It's entertaining. It's got a lot of romance in it. Even the romance has humor in it. It's got some actions, drama.
Govinda, who returns to films after a gap of 5 years, dons grey shades this time. The 50-year-old actor said his notions about playing negative were washed away after seeing the film.
It was great to be working in this. When I heard the story, I was not confident about it that I'll do a villain's role, and I could do it. And the film have shaped up very nice, and I hope it's going to do well.
Kill Dil revolves around two assassins, Dev and Tutu, abandoned when young and vulnerable. Bhayaji gave them shelter and nurtured them to kill. As destiny throws free-spirited Disha into the mix, begins a game of defiance, deception and love when Bhayaji does not accept the relationship between Dev and Disha.
Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude, the top stories once again. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi begins 5-day Australia visit. IS making inroads in Pakistan's southwest Balochistan, say activists. And it's a game of deception and love at box office this weekend. That's all in tonight's edition. We'll see you same time next week. Have a great weekend. Good night.